You know, The Legend of Zelda really was the most innovative and enjoyable adventure game in the 80s, and 90s, and 2000s, and 2010s. You know what? Zelda has always just been really fun, which is why it isn't too surprising that there are a lot of games that shamelessly attempt to rip it off in almost every way. And as you probably guessed, we're going to be checking some of them out today. But what exactly counts as a Zelda ripoff, you might ask? Well, it's any game that you play that makes you think, this is kind of like The Legend of Zelda, just a lot worse. Bring on the title card! Alright, so let's start off where The Legend of Zelda was born, on the good ol' NES. They just couldn't wait, could they? As early as 1989, with the release of Hydlide, an overhead adventure fantasy game that resembles something The Legend of Zelda. Technically speaking though, Hydlide came first, being released on a bunch of PC engines in 1984, with Zelda 1 on the NES not being released until '86. However, the NES port of Hydlide wasn't released until 1989, so they knew what they were doing. Hydlide is probably the worst game on this list, and for a lot of reasons. The story is about some demon dragon that turns a princess into 3 fairies. What? And then you take control of this warrior and play Zelda. Kinda. The biggest problem I have with this game is that it's not fun. 99% of the game involves killing enemies, but to attack in this game, you have to walk up to them and hold the attack button down. That's not fun! It feels satisfying to press the button each time you want to attack, as opposed to just walking, hold the button down, walk, hold the button. And you can't even see the sword or have any indication you're attacking. What's the point? From your point of view, it just looks like I'm walking into the enemies, and then they suddenly just disappear. Like it's a glitch or something. Where's my sword animation? What am I just supposed to imagine it happening? Isn't that why I'm playing video games? So I don't have to use my imagination and I can actually see swords? The game gets old pretty quick. The world isn't that big, everything moves at seemingly 3 frames per second, and the music is an 8-second loop that never ends. Literally. Sounds familiar also, doesn't it? Well, I hope you liked the song, because that's all you get for 30 minutes. That's about as long as it takes to beat the game. Short, but you know what? That 30 minutes is just too long! Next! Alright, still staying on the NES, we've got some Bible games to talk about now. Hooray! A quick little history lesson. Back in the day, there was this company known as Wisdom Tree, who released a ton of unlicensed Bible-themed games on the NES. Without Nintendo's permission, of course. Games like Baby Moses, where you throw babies. This game is called Bible Buffet. You play as this kid, I assume, and you go around this overhead Zelda-esque map, killing walking carrots, walking tomatoes. What is this now, we're playing Candyland? Why is Salad Land's icon a potion? Now we're eating cauliflower. Yeah, this game kinda sucks. There's also random pop quizzes that come out of nowhere. You might also notice that there's no question to be found. Only answers. That's because the questions were found in the game's manual. So unless you happen to still have that, you're kinda out of luck. What does this have to do with Zelda again? What's it gotta do with the Bible? What's it gotta do with anything? Let's take a look at one more Bible-themed Zelda game. Yeah, it's crazy to think there's more than one of them. Spiritual Warfare. Now already, you can tell that this one just didn't care. They flat out ripped off everything they possibly could. I'm serious, let's break it down. You start off by choosing your name, you get this overhead view with 2 weapon slots, you walk into a cave and talk to someone and they give you an item. When you go off screen, it has to load to the next area, there's that cell phone reception looking staircase, and the game becomes a side-scroller only when you're in the Stonewall area. The only real difference is that this game has more pop quizzes! Yeah, more of them. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free? Yeah, good. And what is this? I'm killing them? An angel pops out whenever I defeat them, so yeah, they're dead. I'm killing them. Isn't that against one of the commandments? We're better off just playing Noah's Ark, a game where you lift animals over your head. Yeah, okay, that's enough Bible games for one day. Moving on, we're gonna talk about a bootleg, the only bootleg to make an appearance in this video, titled Fang Ying Dao. Is that Fang Ying Dao? Why is he so creepy? He looks like a hollow. The story is in Chinese. Just my luck. So we can assume he's either asleep on the beach or dead. Ugh, and going by those eyes, I'm gonna go with dead. The game is a somewhat reimagining of Link's Awakening, so technically it's not too terrible since it's just a straight up Zelda clone, but it makes the list because of those empty, hollow eyes. Ugh. Man, we've been looking at a lot of crap so far. But why? The word ripoff doesn't necessarily mean bad, so let's look at some fun ones. Let's start off with Neutopia on the TurboGrafx-16. Yeah, another obscure console. The TurboGrafx-16 silently came out during the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis era, and since most people either had one of those two consoles, nobody gave a flying frick about the TurboGrafx. Neutopia! Again, the game is pretty basic. It follows our young warrior boy who has to save a princess or something. Man, where do they get this stuff? Neutopia is pretty much as basic as you can get with the Zelda clone. There's the 2 weapon slots and health bar. You get the idea by now. The graphics aren't anything impressive, especially considering the console is 16-bit, the same thing as the Super Nintendo. And that gave us A Link to the Past, which is graphically miles ahead of Neutopia. The overworld kind of looks like Dragon Warrior on the NES, which is kinda cool. The game is pretty fun, and there is that strong sense of adventure that you would have in Zelda. You can actually have fun with this game. It kinda feels more like a mobile game you would download today, one that's trying very hard to avoid a Nintendo lawsuit. It can feel pretty empty sometimes, but hey, that's alright. Alundra on the PlayStation 1. This is awesome. I really love this game. It's got that PlayStation 1 JRPG anime flair to it. That's kind of the best way to describe it. The PlayStation 1 has arguably the best library of JRPG games, and games with anime characters, and Alundra is no exception. It perfectly captures that sense of fun, intrigue, and adventure. The animations are very eccentric. The gameplay is quick and keeps you on your toes. The world really comes to life. I feel like if The Legend of Zelda never made that leap to 3D gameplay, this is the direction the series would have gone. And it would have been beautiful. So, there. You see? We talked about a Zelda ripoff that wasn't bad. There are a few other games that fall into this category, like Okami, but the game is so good on its own that I don't really like calling it a Zelda ripoff. In short, if you like The Legend of Zelda, cute warrior doggos, and Japan, you'll probably like this game. Alright, let's quickly wrap this up with some disappointment. My favorite! You might notice that I've shown off this game a few times. It's a mobile app you can download on your phone called Zelda Linked Swords. It physically hurts my heart knowing that this exists. Look at this! It looks like it was made by a 5-year-old, and it's not even fun. All you're doing is collecting coins. Who thought this was a good idea? And lastly, we have Wiki, the Master of Tales, a Korean MMO that I'm not sure is even around anymore. To be fair though, the gameplay isn't anything like Zelda. It's a more traditional MMORPG. The aesthetic, however, is another story, taking heavy inspiration from Wind Waker, aka stealing the exact look and style. But hey, at least the game looked fun. So, hey, did I leave any Zelda ripoffs out? Probably, to be honest. Whether they're good or bad, leave your favorites in the comment section below and maybe I'll make another video talking about them. Waffle out.